Welcome to the Fair Lawn Chamber of Commerce Business Spotlight, where we introduce local businesses to the community and the world at large via social media. Today's guest is from ServPro. ServPro is a fire and water cleanup and restoration company. They're located in Teaneck and Englewood. Today, we have with us Josephine Reilly, who is the marketing director for ServPro. Hi, Josephine. How are you today? Thank you.
Hi. Good morning, Alan. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me here today.
Thank you for joining us today. As marketing director, tell us about ServPro and some of your services.
Sure. Great. Thank you. So I'm the marketing person for ServPro Teaneck, Englewood, and we are that is one of our franchise territories, and basically that's Teaneck, Englewood, Englewood Cliffs, Tenafly, and New Milford. We also just recently acquired ServPro of North Morris, which is Denville, Rockaway, Newfoundland, Oak Ridge, Kinnelon, Pompton Lakes, Pequannock, Butler, Riverdale, and Lincoln Park. We are the company you're going to call if you have any restoration needs, meaning we are the people you're going to call if you have any fire, water, mold, or biohazard type of loss in your house. We clean residential and commercial properties. So what is water loss? So if you have a water loss, this could be something that occurs naturally because there's a flood. Water could either come in through your the attic, through the drain, through the gutters, or a leak in the attic, or you can have floodwater damage, which goes directly into your house from outside, seeping through your foundation. Then there's also your water loss that occurs when you have a broken pipe or the toilet backs up, something like that. So any of those type of water losses, we would be there to be able to come in and clean that for you. There's different categories of water loss I can go into later if we have time to let you know what those things mean. We do fire restoration. So if there's a fire in your home, whether it's small or large, we'll come in and do the cleanup or restoration. Basically, when you do have some kind of smoke or fire loss, you want to get back into your home as soon as possible. So sometimes you'll opt to restore versus renovate. So we'll go in, if we could clean the walls instead of tearing them down, we'll do something like that so that you can get back into your home or business as soon as possible. So we'll go in, we'll clean everything, wipe everything down, and then we have certain machines that will eliminate the smoke. Another one of our services is mold remediation. So it's the black mold that you might see, in the basement or on, anywhere in the house. If you see black mold, we're going to be the company that you're going to call to come in and clean that for you. If you don't see the mold, but you're having breathing issues, or you feel like, you feel like there's mold in the house, we would recommend that you call a hygienist. They're going to come in and actually do an air quality test for you versus just going in and cleaning it. Lastly is the biohazard cleanup that we do. So that could be when you have a sewer backup, the water's coming from the sewer, backs up into your toilet or into your shower drain. That is what we would come in and we would clean that up. We would clean that up for you. Biohazard also is COVID. We did a lot of COVID cleanup in the past year, so that's also what we would come in and do. It also could be a crime scene that we'd go in and clean up. We also help municipalities. We'll go and clean up the police cars or cells if there's ever, again, some kind of biohazard material, biohazard that we need to clean up for that.
Right. There's some incredible services. Let's before we get into each one of the services a little bit more. So the company, how long has the company itself been around?
Okay, so I work for ServPro, Teaneck, Englewood, and ServPro of North Morris. Those are both franchises. ServPro is countrywide and has been in business for over 50 years. Our territory that was purchased by the owner, Thomas Ervelino, has been around for over 15 years. That's the ServPro Teaneck Englewood territory. And then the North Morris he just acquired over the past 2 months or so. So we've actually been in business, our franchises, for over 15 years, but ServPro is countrywide and over 50 years.
That's incredible. And then, so your franchises, you mentioned so many areas in Morris County and also in the Bergen County area. So that's quite an outreach, I would imagine.
Yeah, so we have a large territory area. We have 2 warehouses. One of our warehouses is actually in Hawthorne, New Jersey. Our Teaneck Englewood warehouse is housed in Hawthorne. We needed a large warehouse because in addition to we have so much machinery that we do keep because we need it. We also have a large area in case we need to do a pack up of someone's home and maybe store some of their stuff. So we have the ability to store that on our facility. When we acquired ServPro of Morris County, they have a facility in Rockaway. So their warehouse is in Rockaway. So we have 2 crews. We have one in Morris in Rockaway, and we have the one here in Hawthorne. So we have the ability to get out to wherever we need to go in a timely fashion.
So how many employees do they man?
So we have in Hawthorne we have about 10, and in Rockaway we have about 5. But the one great thing about working for ServPro and using our services is, God forbid it's a huge loss and we don't have the ability to go out and do it ourselves, the other franchises will help us out and so that we can get the job completed in a timely fashion.
That's terrific. And what about the certifications? Are they called technicians? What are the
We call them a production crew, is what we call the technicians that go out. They're all certified. When they're hired, they either take classes online. Pre-COVID, they were going to a facility in Connecticut. I don't know the exact town, but they would go there a few days for training, initial training, and then basically they take continuing ed classes just like everybody else to make sure that they continue to be certified with knowing how to clean things properly, because you do want to make sure that the person coming out to do this cleaning is certified and they are doing it properly with the proper training, because if they're not, they're just going to be like you and me trying to clean it up ourselves, and it's going to lead to something down the road. So you want to just make sure it's done correctly.
Who are they certified by? Is that state certification or?
I'm not gonna say I know that for sure. They do get certified by ServPro, but it is a state certification. So I don't know if they take a test with the state after they get their training, but they do get certified by the state, yes. But I don't know who or how that actually is done.
That's terrific anyway. Okay, so now they will go out there and they'll, of course, evaluate it. So you do water, and you mentioned also COVID. Obviously, since COVID, we're hopefully first getting out of this pandemic, there was, I'm sure, a lot of cleanup for commercial and residential, but let's talk about the commercial aspect of it, because if your business is, a lot of people working there coming through. So did you see an uptick in restoration and cleanups because of COVID?
Yes, we definitely did. So we had a few different types of clients during COVID. We had, for example, we had a school that stayed open. Well, once they were allowed to reopen, but they had us come in once a week. We deep cleaned once a week for them, but they kept up on a daily basis cleaning. As of right now, no one has ever gotten sick in that facility. We also went and cleaned up municipalities. If a police officer might have gotten COVID, we would go in, we'd clean the police cars and the facility. DPW, same thing. A lot of them, the gentleman the DPW workers, if somebody was sick in a vehicle, we would go in and we would clean that vehicle for them. Town halls, because people were working, you keep getting people in and out. They tried to stay open as much as possible. We would go in and, clean the municipality so that people could go pay their tax bill. They can go pay their water bill. They can still try to get those permits that they were begging for during COVID when everything got shut down. So we were able to go and, accommodate them. We did a few doctor's offices. So before they could reopen after, the initial shutdown, so their clients and their employees felt comfortable going back to work. So we we would do that too. And a few of the daycare centers, we came up with a protocol with them that if in case someone did get tested positive in the school or in the daycare setting, that, you know, what their course of action was, which included us for the cleanup. So we were able to help them too.
Wow, that's a great community service, because I know here in Fairlawn, our borough hall was closed for quite a while, and also they do all the, you know, the inspectors and all that actually closed down for quite a few weeks. So
Yeah.
by having it cleaned properly and fast enough, obviously people lose work and all that stuff. So you really have to get in there right away and start this cleanup process.
Yeah, so that's what we did. So like for the, like, you know, the daycare center that we were talking with, we never had to go in there, but we had a plan of action with them so that if somebody did get sick, you know, whether it be a 3 o'clock call in the morning, we would get up there so we can get everything cleaned and they can get, you know, back to business, because they were one of the daycare centers that were taking care of first responders' children. So they needed to make sure that they stayed open and that they didn't have to close.
Right. And some of the chemicals that are you using, obviously you're cleaning things up. What kind of chemicals do you use? And obviously they're safe, but could you tell us a little bit about maybe the cleaning solutions or what you're using to really clean up these places?
So they're all hospital grades solutions that we use, chemicals, but there's a few different types that we do use. Unfortunately, I don't have all the names in front of me. We do have, it was safe for children, pets, animals for us to go into the homes. A few times before we go into the homes, people want to see exactly what we're using, so we're happy to share that. Nothing's a secret. We'll share the exact the list of every single chemical that we use and what it's made up of, so that you could feel comfortable that we're going to be coming into your home with your children and your pets and yourselves, and know exactly what is in the products that we are using.
So tell us about the other surface. I know you also, I see here that you do mold restoration. I'm also in the real estate business, and plenty of times we come across these houses that do have mold in the basement, on some of the walls, and a lot of the homeowners are really not that savvy about what it is and how dangerous it could be to them until somebody comes in and says, "Oh, I think you know mold on. You really need to check this out before we could sell the house." Could you tell us a little bit about?
Yeah. So what the great thing is with ServPro, not only our franchise, but all the ServPros in general, we'll send somebody out for a free estimate. So just because we're coming out there does not mean that you need to use our service or do the service if you don't choose to. So basically, the threat of black mold is it's an allergen, and it, you know, can affect your breathing and your oxygen. So you want to make sure that it is cleaned properly. Within 72 hours of something getting moist, mold will start to grow. So if it's not dried properly, that's when mold is going to start to occur. If places like attics and basements, there's natural moisture in those areas, so sometimes you might not even be aware of it, and then, you know, you pull a dresser out from the basement and all of a sudden there's mold there. It's because the moisture started to develop behind there, and now there's black mold. So we would go in and we would you know, give you an estimate on what the remediation would be. We would clean it, you know, and then we would put a chemical on. Well, not, it's a micro, oh boy, you're going to have to edit this. I can't remember the name of the product. We're going to put on there, and we're going to go in, we'll clean it up, and so that it doesn't come back. However, sometimes you might feel like there's mold in the house, or you might not be able to see the mold in the house. That's when you would have to hire a hygienist. So we are not hygienists. We will follow the protocol that the hygienist asks us to do. So basically we could go in, we could check for mold, we can clean the visual mold, but if there's mold spores in the air, we might have to get something from the hygienist, and we would follow their protocol to clean it properly. Mold occurs in the attic because you might have a few leaks from you know, your gutters that might slip through there and make everything wet. Also, another problem is when your insulation is not properly installed in the attic. If it's like maybe too close to the jambs there, moisture occurs in there, and that's also going to cause mold, and that's just going to grow right up the side of the house on the inside. So those are the things that you do want to take a look at and make sure that you're getting it cleaned up properly.
And once you clean it, do you certify, or do you give them some type of certificate that it has been remediated? Because if you're selling a property and there was mold, or they caught it during inspection, you would need something to, certify. Well, I don't know if that's the right term for it.
We'll put something in writing. There's no actual certificate, but of course, obviously, you have our invoice, and we will write a letter saying that it was cleaned up and what we did use to clean it up. A lot of times, as you said, you're a realtor, so we do get a lot of calls from realtors. Realtors are one of our major business sources. They'll call us in, and prior to this past year, as you know, everyone wanted everything fixed before they moved in. Well, now everyone just wants to move in. So we would either do it prior to the closing or right thereafter, and go and clean up the property. So.
Yeah, not too long ago, there was a house we're in Fairlawn on Saddle River Road, and we called it the mold house. It was just so bad that the whole basement up into the kitchen that they actually had to pull down the walls, because sometimes you don't realize how deep the mold is until you really rip down all the sheetrock and paneling or whatever's on there. A lot of times it's well hidden inside the walls.
It's definitely well hidden inside the walls. That's why when we do, if we do a water cleanup, if depending on the height of the water, we actually will remove the sheetrock 6 to 12 inches, because that's wet. And if we don't take that down, that's eventually going to turn to mold, and it can turn to mold behind the sheetrock or in front. So you want to make sure you get that taken care of right away. Unfortunately, with mold, water, everything, it's all based on somebody's insurance policy. So nothing's ever guaranteed what, the insurance company will pay and not pay for, whether it's water, sewer, depending how the sewer back up. Like if it came from the town, they probably won't pay it. But now everyone has different clauses in their insurance policies. So that's something we could talk about later too, if you
pay for it, but it wasn't your fault. You can't go after the town to pay for it either.
No, you can't. Some municipalities will allow you to submit the receipt and see if you can get something, but typically no. And in this area, especially in the, in Teaneck, and I know here in Hawthorne, there's so many old trees that those roots are just destroying those pipes. And unfortunately, it ends up being the homeowner's problem at the end of the day. So that's a very costly repair. And, sometimes insurance, but I was speaking to an insurance agent last week, and that is a new policy that you can, clause that you can add to your insurance policy. But of course, there's disclosures, whether it's natural or, what's causing the breaking in the pipe. So if it's natural wear and tear, that won't be a coverage, but if it's
fine print, in other words, you always got to read the fine print.
Yeah, the fine print. Yes, exactly. So, but speaking about insurance, I always recommend call your local agent before you call 1-800-STATE-FARM. Call, your local agent right in town or wherever it might be, to make sure that you are getting the correct information and whether you should or shouldn't file a claim. Because sometimes, if it's a $600 claim and you have a $500 deductible, it might not be worth your doing that at the time.
Yeah. So I guess when you're also looking for a property, maybe staying away from flood areas, do you deal with the flood, people that are getting houses, they have to look at the flood map first to see they're in a flood zone and stuff like that also.
Yeah, a lot of people, well, now some pumps are in almost every home. So a lot of these towns that do have that, that are in a flood zone area, most of them do have the sump pump. So that does help. I would never deter anybody from purchasing a house, but personally, I would want to stay away from that. But, sometimes a home could have a home could have the corner, it could be an acre property, and 1 foot in on the right-hand side of the property is in a flood zone, and then you're considered a flood zone, but your house is never going to get water in it. So you just really need to determine where the flood zone does start and end. But definitely, if you are in a flood zone, you definitely need that sump pump, and you have to make sure it's working and you have a backup generator, because if you don't, then you're in trouble. So.
Yeah, it could go down. The electricity goes down. You're having a flood.
Yeah.
So what company was in existence? Maybe not your franchise during Hurricane Sandy here.
Yeah. So during Hurricane Sandy, my franchise, Teaneck Englewood, we were in business. I just was not working for the franchise at the time. We were very, very busy. But the great thing about ServPro is that we're countrywide. So what happened during Sandy was they sent fleets from all over the country to this area to help, not only the franchises, but the people of New Jersey try to clean up from, Sandy and get everything taken care of, because, there was just so much work. And unfortunately, when these natural disasters occur, there's just so much people in the local area could do. So having ServPro, and they have over 1,700 franchises in the United States, they're going to be right away able to come and help.
Yeah, that's great.
That's great.
Down south. And then, of course, they start changing the way they build. So once, say, Hurricane Sandy happened, now they're building down, if you go towards the beach, everything is built on stilts.
Yes, everything down there is built on stilts, and I believe if it's not built up, you can't get insurance anymore. So there is an issue down there with that. Yes. So
it happened again, but that's about 10 years ago. We had a major disaster like that for a storm in that time, but it could happen at any time. So sometimes with flood zones, you might be in a 100-year flood zone or a 500-year flood zone.
Yeah.
I guess you really have to do some research as you're purchasing that home.
Yeah, you do. But unfortunately, with the natural disasters like Sandy, whether you were in a flood zone or not, so many people got water. Like it just didn't matter at that point. So, and unfortunately with that, power was lost for so many days. Sump pumps, if you didn't have a generator, you were at a big loss. So,
don't even know where it's going to occur. If you look at Texas with all the disasters that just happened there with the flooding, some of the inlands where they didn't think they, like you just said, would be affected by it, all of a sudden the storm comes over and takes over the whole city area.
Yeah, Texas was something that I don't think they ever thought would occur. So again, with ServPro, the great thing was there was a lot of fleets right from New York and New Jersey that went out there to help. The guys just got in their trucks and they headed down there, and they were there to help. And some of them were there for weeks and months. So, well, not months, but weeks. So, and then they headed back home. But it was great to know that somebody was there that could help.
It's really terrific. Your company sounds terrific because they have so many franchises or the businesses around the country that they could support each other, which is a great value to everybody.
Yes.
Terrific. Well, I'd like to thank you very much. It's been very informative. I think, like you said, it's something that most people don't think about until you have to think about it. So when you do think about a disaster or flood or fire and you need restoration or remediation, definitely sounds like ServPro is the company of choice. It's
yes. Yeah, definitely. We're the company you don't want to call, but we're the company you need to call when these things strike. So, we're always there to help. We're open 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We have a crew on call every single weekend and a crew on call every night. So if something does happen, we'll always have somebody available to come out and clean. Somehow, disasters always occur on Christmas Day. So
disasters don't plan the day.
Yeah, they just always happen on Sundays and major holidays. So but our crew's aware of it. They know that's part of their job, and they're always happy and willing to go out. So
there's no major disasters Memorial Day weekend.
I hope not.
weekend, everybody's getting out and going back to the beach, and they're letting us out a little bit more. Hopefully, we're way past this pandemic, or at least, on the tail end of it. But you be very careful. So,
Yeah.
so anyway, I really want to thank you for the time that you spent. You're very informative. You know your business well. Sounds like a fantastic company, like I mentioned before. They can be all over. I know it says here, why choose ServPro, and the company things say faster to any size disaster, which you just spoke about. The technicians are highly trained, and you use also advanced technology. So it's good to know that we have you in our community. Let me ask you something. You are a member of our Fairlawn Chamber of Commerce. Could you just tell us about being a member? Why did ServPro join the Fairlawn Chamber of Commerce?
Well, because one of our clients are real estate agents. I went into, real estate is one, insurance agents. I went in to see Stella, remember? And it was right before one of your meetings, right before, I think it was like January or February of 2020. And she offered to bring me in as a guest. So I went and I spoke to everybody there, and, I really liked the people that I saw, and I felt that being a chamber member would be a great idea as far as the marketing to meet people. And it's been great. Tony from the chamber has been very helpful with getting me introduced to people. Last year, ServPro, we sponsored the movie night that they had down at the field, Memorial Field. So we were so happy to be able to do that. That's something else that we do. We love to go out and help wherever possible. Christmas, this past Christmas, I would love to share a picture with you in the future. We loaded one of our big box trucks with toys toys and gifts for children of Patterson. There was thousands of toys in there, and we helped 5 different communities. We delivered the gifts. We collected them and delivered them. So that was something great that we were able to do. So yeah, so that, I joined the chambers just because I wanted to help out the community, and also, of course, meet all the local business people. Currently, we are also members of the Englewood Chamber of Commerce, and as of yesterday, the Rockaway Chamber of Commerce. So, the chamber is wonderful. So much information, so much knowledge. Just through COVID, getting all the information from the chamber was just wonderful. I really did appreciate it. Not only for the company, there was information that I was able to share with friends and family that came over. So it's great to be part of the chamber, just not for business opportunities, but just to be able to be informed about things that are going on in the community, the state, and the country. So
it's terrific, and it's great that you just mentioned those things about the toys and that. It's wonderful to hear a company like yours also giving back to the community. I think what we all have to do. It's great to get business, but you get more business by being firsthand, giving back to the community. People that know you, they trust you, and they will also want to use your stuff.
Yeah.
Great. Josephine, I really want to thank you for taking the time.
Thank you.
With us. So today's guest, we had Josephine Reilly. She's the marketing director for ServPro. ServPro is ServPro Teaneck, Englewood, is fire, water, cleanup and restoration, and many other services. So thank you for the time, Josephine.
Thank you, Alan.
Being well and all that, and thank you for being a part of the Fairlawn Chamber.
Thank you. I look forward to maybe seeing everybody one day soon.
So this has been a business spotlight. We spotlight ServPro, as we just mentioned. My name is Alan Cohen. Thank you very much. Today's holiday weekend.
Thank you. Thanks, Alan.